Did you see that shit? MMA podcast. Hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and Chicago's number one underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and this is
Apollo Taj Mahal.
we are the guys from the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast. We know you're going to like the interview, so be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all the social media platforms, as well as the Missing Time Productions YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to didyousseethatshit.com for a complete rundown of all of our content. Right, Apollo?
Yeah.
I want to welcome Jake Heffernan to the show for the very first time. He is the grinder, and he's coming off a huge win at LFA 43. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good, dude. I appreciate you doing this, taking some time with me today. Man, you looked really good at LFA 43 on June 22nd there. You fought a very tough dude in Peter Stoniak, but how did you feel about your performance?
I never want to be considered that guy that just has one game plan and always fights the same exact way. So going into the fight, I had a plan in my own head of striking with the guy a little bit, just to kind of prove that I could, and then to kind of take him down, and then kind of beat him up. And then I just felt so comfortable throwing down with the guy that I ended up staying on the feet longer than expected, and I think it confused him. So I think I did actually extremely well for the fight, and I think it surprised him as well.
Yeah, I thought you looked very well, man. You look like you're a complete fighter. You look like you're growing every time we see you. How's training been?
It went really well. My fight camp was like the exact right amount of time to where I was peaking at the perfect time. My striking coach, Matt Wall, and me saw each other almost every single day to hit pads and like game plan for this fight. So it went really well in that aspect, as well as like my weight cut was, for the first time in a long time, really good and easy. So I didn't have to like concentrate the whole entire last week of camp on cutting, and instead I got to still strike for a couple of days, and then I only had to cut for like 2 days. So that was nice as well.
Has that been an issue in the past, having like difficult cuts like last minute?
No, never last minute. My cuts have always been very professional. I just usually cut a larger amount of weight. I'm not really sure if it's through, just stress of fight camp that I ended up retaining more weight than usual. But this camp, I guess my life has just been a little bit more under control bill-wise and family-wise. I just got engaged. My son's a little over a year now. And then I'm just working all the time. So I think my life just got comfortable, and so my body kind of took to the camp much easier. So I was able to cut easier. But no, I don't ever have trouble cutting. I usually just cut larger amounts, basically.
Would lightweight be in your future, or do you plan on staying at featherweight?
I'll stay at featherweight. It was easy to make the cut, and I mean, there's no reason for me to change what's not broken, you know what I mean? I mean, if anything, I could probably drop down into the 35s if I really wanted to, but I like the 45 ranking system. It's got a lot of guys in it, so I don't have to like chase down opponents. So definitely I'll be sticking with 45.
And you're on a 9-fight winning streak, man. Do you even remember what it feels like to lose?
Man, it's funny. Even though I do the MMA fights, I still do some super fights every once in a while, and so I did lose a super fight recently, like a couple months ago. I got triangled in like 30 seconds. So I definitely know the bitter taste of the losing for competition. But MMA wise, it's definitely been a nice ride thus far, being that it's on a 9-fight streak since my last amateurs till now. So it's definitely fun, and the taste of losing is far, far from my mouth from MMA for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. What do you do for fun? What do you do to unwind? Or you do you like to go out to the club, or are you like a video gamer? What do you like to do?
Man, actually, I have an extensive DC comic book collection, and I watch all the DC shows on Netflix. So I'm actually super into the comic book scene. I keep track of all of the different storylines for mainly DC, but I also follow Marvel as well. But I guess I'm just a little comic book nerd when it comes down to it. Apart from hanging out with my son every day, I'm reading comic books and then training mixed martial arts.
That's super cool, man. What's your favorite? Like, give me like 2 or 3 of the best DC shows on Netflix.
I love The Flash. I was actually just watching it before I'm talking to you. I like the Green Arrow as well. That's a fun one, just because it's been running for so long. I guess those are probably the only 2 TV shows for DC that I watch. But after that, my favorite comic book is The Flash, and then I'm actually just now breaking into a bunch of different Dark Knight series of Batman. I like those. Those are my 2 favorite superheroes. So.
Were you always into comic books growing up?
I was into comic books pretty much my entire life. My dad had a little small comic book collection when I was a kid, and then I started collecting when I was younger, and then actually stopped when I was in my teenage years. But then once I turned 22 or 23, I was like, man, this is fun again. So I started collecting again when I was about that age, and now I have 2 book cases filled with comics. So.
Very cool. Do you have them all in cases and everything too?
All the volumes I just kind of have out, but yeah, every single issue that I have is wrapped up in a plastic sleeve just to keep it safe, just in case my son wants to read it when he's old enough, which will be when he's 15, because otherwise he's gonna tear them in half.
Yeah, I know how that goes, man. So, what's next for you professionally, man? I know it's obviously you're coming off of a big win, but would you prefer a short notice fight, or would you prefer another long camp and to maybe headline an LFA card?
Honestly, if LFA wants to offer me something down the road that I can get a full camp from, then yeah, I would definitely weigh my options on anything they offer. I would see myself always being on the main card or the co-main event or main event for the next few fights, just because I think I present the exciting factor with how the fights will go down. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, yeah, I would definitely want a full camp for that. If the Contender Series or the UFC was to say, can you fight this guy in 10 days, I would do that in a heartbeat. If they said, it wouldn't even matter who the opponent was. If they just said, if the UFC just called and said, this guy in 10 days, I would be like, all right, I'll be there in 10 days at 45. So it's all about opportunity and whatever presents itself, but everything has different reactions, and so I think that pretty much is it there.
I hear you. What if Dana or what if the Contender Series, what if they called you and said, hey, man, we got this on 10 days, but it's at 135? Could you do it?
No, that's something where I would say, man, as much as I would love the opportunity, I wouldn't want to look like a fool not making weight. And I at this point, on short notice, I couldn't make 35. I've been eating this whole week, so I'm definitely weighing 160 right now, 165. So I wouldn't want to go, have a harsh cut in that way. But if they gave me time, I would definitely talk it over with my coaches. I literally sat around this entire camp at 149, 150. So I could definitely cut 35 if I needed to. I would just have to lose all this celebration weight.
Yeah, I hear you. What if they called you right now and said, would you do 155?
Oh man, I would take that as well. If they said they needed somebody for 55, I would just look at it as a favor for Uncle Dana, and I would go get to some fisticuffs for him at 155, for sure. Just because, man, it also the UFC, they'll pay you for that. They'll say, hey, here's $10,000. Will you fight at 55? And then the answer is always yes. At the end of the day, I want to entertain people and have a good career, but I also want to support my family with big fat fight paychecks. So.
Mm-hmm. And you would, of course, let it be known, I'll do it this one time, but I do want to compete at 145.
Yes, I do want to compete at 145.
That'd just be a one-time favor thing.
Yeah, that would be a one-time favor thing, unless I, for some reason found comfortability at 55. And then if I go in there and I mash a 55er, and then they're just like, hey, you want to do another 55? Then I would be like, all right, I guess I'm a 55er and a 45er now. Just for the UFC, though.
Well, I guess kind of along those same lines, man, do you think that the UFC should open up the other weight classes that are proposed, like the 165? What do you think of those?
Man, I think it would open the opportunity for more competition and healthier competition as well. You have those guys that are that are no matter what making those harsh cuts, because they just sit at those weird weights and their bodies are just shaped those weird ways. So I think it would just, if anything, help the guys that would compete better at those different weight classes. So I think it would be nice to add them. I wouldn't mind if there was like a 165, a 175, and then, you know, maybe even somewhere in there like a 160 or something like that. But like I said, you know, even giving any of these guys a little bit more of an opportunity to not have these really big giant cuts that are killing them every time, I think would present much better fights. So yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I think I definitely do too. I think it's long overdue. I think we'll see it, and I just don't understand why it's taking this long. There's money to be made there, so who knows? But man, I appreciate you doing this. I know that you're busy with training and everything. I always like to give fighters a few minutes to shout out your sponsors, teammates, whatever you'd like, man.
Oh man, so I just want to thank Houston Spine and Rehab. They actually saw me right after the fight and tuned my back up and cracked my neck and got me all back to normal after the fight. I did beat him up, but he ran punches as well. There's Venom. They sponsored me for this fight. I wore their fight shorts for the fight. G Fuel, which they were on the front of my shorts. That's an energy supplement that helped me out with pre-workouts for this camp, and then just sponsored me altogether. There's Sky God Productions. There's Bayou City Tattoo Shop. There's Vinnie Vincent Real Estate. There's CLM Equipment, Fight Smarts, which is my web design company. They actually put my banner together, do all my media work, and then they created my website as well. And then apart from that, there's Loaded Pistol. They made my shirts for this camp. They're the ones that made the Jake the Grinder shirts, the white ones that I had on TV. So they helped me out a lot there. Gave me all my shirts to sell as well. So big time sponsor there. And then there's also Inked Muscle Gang, which is another clothing company as well that supplies me with my lifting equipment, basically. So other than that, though, I think that's pretty much it. Other than my Gene Gracie Baja Woodlands, if you want to come train, look us up. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I hopefully we'll get the opportunity to speak again next time you have something lined up.
Yes, sir, man. As soon as I get something lined up, I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, brother. Take care.
You too.